In order for me to tell you how we're going to do it in Texas, I'm going to go back to an example that Matt Rinaldi used when he was on our show, the Republican Party of Idaho. They closed their primary. The party passed a rule that said, we're not letting Democrats vote in our primary. And then the governor of Idaho, who's a Republican, sued the Republican Party of Idaho and said, no, you are going to let Democrats vote in your race. Because I guess he wanted Democrats to vote in the election. They win in the federal court system because what the federal courts ruled was that the Republican Party of Idaho is not a government entity. It's a private association of individuals who are getting together. So they can determine who can and cannot participate in the selection process of which Republicans represent their party on the ballot. That's the simple thing to understand. That's the core, is that this is a private association, not a government entity. So a government can't make it illegal for this private association to determine how they select. Okay? Now, it's nuanced in that either North Carolina or South Carolina, the court system ruled in favor of the state and over the party. I think it was North Carolina, but I might be wrong. Either North or South Carolina. And so that party, the reason for that ruling, though, when you break it down, is that they said that state law allowed for the selection of Republican nominees either through an open primary where anybody can vote or through the Republican convention in North Carolina. So state law basically gave them a way to ensure that Democrats were not participating in the process by saying we're going to select our governor and our state rep and our state senator and our congressman at the convention of the Republican Party. Now, I will tell you right now, Dade Phelan and all of his liberal rhinos would freak out if we said we're going to select the Republican nominees at the convention. That's not what the Texas GOP is proposing. The Texas GOP is proposing a closed primary. The reason I talk about the Carolina ruling is because we're not even allowed, like state law doesn't say the Texas GOP can select in either an open primary or the convention. It doesn't give the Republican Party a single remedy to prevent Democrats from voting in their primary. Okay, which is why we believe that it's probably more in line with the ruling that was made in Idaho. So what happens if we go to court and the courts rule that the Texas GOP may close its primary? Okay, well, currently you don't register as a Republican or a Democrat or an independent. Okay, Florida has closed primaries and you register as a Republican, a Democrat, or an independent. And if when you register, you check the box, I'm a Republican, you can now participate in the Republican primary. If Dade Phelan and his uniparty buddies say, we're going to refuse to pass a bill to close the primaries, then likely there will have to be some way of determining if you're a Republican. So it could be if you voted in a Republican primary in the past, the Republican Party of Texas is going to consider that person a Republican. Okay? They're going to consider that person a Republican. And then there would probably be a way for new individuals that come in to then declare their loyalty to the Republican Party and participate in the primary process. Now, this is if the legislature digs its heels in and says, we want you to fail, which they might do. They might literally dig their heels in and say, we want you to fail. Even if the federal court system is going to say you can close the primary, we want to punish the party for keeping Democrats out of the primary process. So to punish them, we're going to be as obstinate as possible. And we have to be ready for that being a reality, right? I do think it's important to talk about how simple this would be. If the legislature, if the Republican Party of Texas wins in the court system, and let me slow this down so I don't get going in 4 different sentences that don't ever complete each other. If the Republican Party of Texas wins in the court systems and then it's determined that we can close our primary with or without a state law, the easiest thing for the legislature to do at that point is to pass a law that allows for partisan registration so that anybody who's coming in that has never voted in a primary can simply register as a Republican and then can participate in the primary process. That would be the easiest thing to do, right? If they say, no, we want to be obstinate, we don't want to work with the Republican Party of Texas to close the Texas GOP primary and prevent Democrats from voting in the primary process, we can still close it. We still have the authority to. That is the belief of the convention, of the Rules Committee, of the past chairman, Matt Rinaldi, and the sitting chairman, Abraham George, okay? And the way this would look is that you're still participating in a regular election process, but in that process, there's limits of who is allowed to participate. You can't just walk in and say, I'm registered to vote, therefore I want to vote for my Republican state representative. That is a good thing. There are some details to work out between now and then, but we have taken a great step in the right direction. And the delegates understand that we need to do this. The SREC understand we need to do this. Our chair and our vice chair and the Rules Committee understand we need to do this. And so we've put Texas on a great path in passing that closed primary.